Michael glanced at his watch as he navigated through the bustling crowd of the Kavari spaceport. The din of alien dialects melded with the whir of machinery and the distant hum of docking ships. He adjusted his tool belt, preparing for another long shift repairing the gravdocks in Bay 17. As he passed a small group of traders bartering loudly, his attention was drawn to a slight figure standing awkwardly to the side. The woman, clearly not human with her slight, iridescent scales and large, expressive eyes, clutched the hand of a small child, her movements anxious and hesitant. "Excuse me," Michael called, stepping closer. "Do you need help?" The woman looked up, her eyes wide. "Oh, yes, please. I am looking for sanctuary. Can you help us?" Her standard was broken, her accent thick and musical. "Sanctuary?" Michael echoed, surprised. "I'm not sure what you mean. Are you in trouble?" "Yes, trouble," she nodded vigorously, pulling the child closer. "We must hide. I ask you to take us in. Please, take me as a concubine with my child. It is the only way we can be safe." Michael blinked, taken aback by her words. "Hold on, I don't think you need to." A loud commotion interrupted them as a couple of local security guards chased a pickpocket nearby. The child yelped, burying his face in his mother's skirt. Michael instinctively stepped closer, his presence offering a shadow of protection. "Let's find a quieter place to talk. Come with me," he suggested, guiding them toward a less crowded corner of the port. "First things first, what's your name?" "I am Alara, and this is Leary," she introduced, her hand resting protectively on the child's head. "Michael, nice to meet you both. Now, tell me everything. Start from the beginning, and let's see how I can really help you." As they settled down at a quieter bench away from the hustle, Alara looked around nervously before beginning her story. Michael listened intently, trying to piece together her fragmented sentences into a coherent narrative. He learned that Alara was fleeing from her home planet due to her child's heritage. A taboo union between her and a human had marked them both. "I have nothing to offer but loyalty and work," Alara said earnestly, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "I can clean, cook, anything you need. All I seek is a safe place for Leary." Michael rubbed his chin, deep in thought. He wasn't sure what to make of her proposal, but he knew he couldn't just walk away. "All right, Alara. I don't think you need to be anyone's concubine. That's not how we do things here. But you need a place to stay tonight, right?" "Yes, very much," she nodded, relief flooding her features. "Okay, let's start with that. I have a spare room you can use for now. We'll figure out the rest later. How does that sound?" Her eyes filled with gratitude. "It sounds like more than I dared hope for." "Thank you, Michael." As they gathered their sparse belongings and made their way to his apartment, Michael pondered the complexity of the universe. Here he was, an ordinary man, suddenly thrust into an extraordinary situation. But one thing he knew for sure. No matter where you were in the galaxy, helping others was always the right thing to do. Michael led Alara and Leary to a small diner just a few blocks from his apartment, a place where many of the locals and spaceport workers came to wind down. The soft clatter of dishes and the murmur of conversation provided a comforting backdrop. "Here, sit." Michael gestured to a booth by the window. "It's quieter. You can tell me everything over some food." Alara slid into the booth, Leary clinging to her side. As Michael flagged down a server, he noticed how Alara's eyes flitted around, taking in the new environment with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Can I get a menu for my friends here?" Michael asked the server, who nodded and returned shortly with menus and a warm smile. While they waited for their food, Michael leaned forward. "You mentioned you're running because of Leary's heritage. Can you tell me more about that?" Alara sighed, her fingers tracing the edge of the table. "On my world Juntera, the mix of species is not accepted. It is more than frowned upon. It is forbidden. Leary's father was a human, like you, a trader passing through. I fell in love. But when he left, and I bore his child, we were ostracized, threatened. I had to leave." "Sounds like a tough situation," Michael said softly, the server placing their order on the table, a distraction that allowed Alara a moment to compose herself. "Yes, it was dangerous. Alara continued as Leary began to nibble on a piece of bread. We hid as we traveled from one system to another. But spaces are small, and news travels even in the void. Michael listened, his expression a mixture of anger and sympathy. And no one was willing to help? Few are sympathetic to such situations, Alara explained, her voice dropping. They fear retribution from my people, or they share the same prejudices. The food arrived, and Michael encouraged Alara to eat. You're safe here, at least for now. We'll figure something out. I can't imagine what you've been through, but you're strong to have made it this far with Leary. Alara smiled weakly, offering a piece of her meal to Leary. What about you, Michael? What brings a human so far from Earth? I'm an engineer by trade, but really, it's the promise of adventure that brought me out here, Michael said, sharing a piece of his past with her. I wanted to see the universe, help where I could with what I know. Turns out, the universe decided to drop a bigger challenge into my lap. As they ate, the conversation shifted from past hardships to tentative plans for the future. Michael spoke about his work at the spaceport, the technology he repaired, and the cultures he'd encountered. Maybe you could work at the spaceport too, Michael suggested. I know a few folks who might be looking for help. It wouldn't be anything fancy, but it would be a start. Alara's eyes lit up with a spark of hope. I would appreciate that very much. I want to provide for Leary, give her a chance at a life where she isn't hiding. I think we can make that happen, Michael said, a plan forming in his mind. Let's finish up here. We'll go back to my place, and tomorrow, I'll make some calls. We'll see what we can do about getting you some proper identification and work papers. As they left the diner, the sky outside had darkened, the stars beginning to twinkle in the night sky. Michael looked at Alara and Leary, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Here, far from his own home, he was making a difference, one small step at a time. And perhaps, just maybe, he'd found something akin to a new family. The morning after their dinner, Michael's apartment felt different, more lively, as if the small space had been waiting to be filled with the warmth of a family. Alara was up early, gently guiding Leary through their morning routine, their soft chatter blending with the hum of the city outside. Michael emerged from his bedroom, rubbing sleep from his eyes, to find Alara folding a makeshift bed on the living room floor. "Morning," he greeted, his voice gravelly with sleep. "Sleep okay?" Alara looked up, a small smile on her face. "Yes, thank you. Leary and I are not used to such quiet nights anymore." "Coffee?" Michael offered, moving towards the kitchenette. "Yes, please," Alara replied, continuing her task. As Michael prepared the coffee, he pondered their situation. "I was thinking," he began, handing Alara a steaming cup, "about what you can do today. I have to head to the spaceport, but maybe you'd like to come along? I can show you around, introduce you to some people." Alara's eyes brightened. "That would be wonderful, Michael. I'd like to start understanding this world, and maybe find where we can fit." "Great," Michael smiled. "And there's a community center nearby. They have classes, activities for kids. Might be good for Leary." Leary, who had been quietly drawing at the table, looked up at the mention of his name. "Can I see ships?" he asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. "You bet," Michael chuckled. "The biggest ships you've ever seen." After breakfast, the trio set out. The spaceport was a hive of activity, with beings from various planets bustling about. Michael led them through security checkpoints with ease, his badge granting them access to areas that fascinated Leary. "This is where the magic happens," Michael said, guiding them into a massive hangar where ships of all sizes were docked. "And over there," he pointed to a group of engineers, "is my team." The engineers, a mix of humans and aliens, looked up as the group approached. "Everyone, this is Alara and her son, Leary. They're new in town." A burly man with arms covered in tattoos grinned. "New faces. Welcome. I'm Gus." He offered Alara a hand, which she shook tentatively. As Gus chatted with Alara, showing her various tools and gadgets, Michael noticed Leary's fascination with a small shuttle being repaired. "Want to take a closer look?" he asked the boy. Leary nodded eagerly, and Michael led him closer, explaining the basics of shuttle mechanics and letting him touch the cool metal of the outer hull. Meanwhile, Alara was getting a crash course in spaceport operations from Gus. It's not just fixing ships, Gus was saying. It's about keeping them running smoother than silk. Precision and care, that's what it takes. Alara listened intently, her previous experience on her home planet giving her a basic understanding of the technology. I used to help with the agricultural machines back on Juntera, she shared. Then you've got a good start, Gus nodded approvingly. Michael, we might have a spot for her. Nothing fancy, but it's a start. Michael felt a surge of relief. That's great, Gus. Thanks. As the day wore on, Michael, Alara, and Leary visited the community center. Leary joined a group of children his age, his initial shyness evaporating as they drew him into their games. Alara watched, her heart light. I haven't seen him so happy in a long time, she admitted to Michael. He's safe here, Michael reassured her. And so are you. We'll make sure of it. They returned to the apartment as the sun was setting, the sky a blaze of orange and pink. Dinner was a simple affair, but the mood was light, laughter filling the small space. As Leary recounted his day to Alara, Michael watched them, feeling an unexpected sense of contentment. This makeshift family might not be conventional, but it felt right. Together, they were building something, a sense of belonging and community that stretched beyond the confines of blood or species. Michael and Alara found themselves visiting the local market to stock up on supplies for the week. The market was a colorful chaos of vendors and shoppers, a blend of cultures and species that Michael had always enjoyed. This place never ceases to amaze me, Michael said, guiding Alara through the crowded aisles. You can find anything here, from standard human food to the most exotic alien fruits. Alara looked around in wonder, her eyes catching on a stall displaying bright, odd-shaped vegetables. What's that? She asked, pointing. That's a growlar fruit. Tastes a bit like a peach mixed with a cucumber. Want to try it? Michael asked. Alara nodded, and they made their way to the stall. Michael picked up a fruit, weighing it in his hand before passing it to the vendor. The vendor, a tall, thin being with gentle eyes, sliced a piece and handed it to Alara on a small stick. As Alara tasted it, her face lit up with delight. It's delicious, she exclaimed. Michael chuckled, pleased. I thought you might like it. Let's get some. They continued their exploration, picking up various items. As they stopped at another stall, Alara's attention was diverted by a small commotion. A pickpocket trying to make a getaway after snatching a purse. The crowd around them surged, and in the confusion, Alara stumbled. Michael instinctively reached out, pulling her close to steady her. Are you okay? He asked, his hand still resting on her arm. Yes, thank you, Alara said, looking up at him. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the noisy market faded into the background. The moment was broken when the vendor shouted in triumph as the pickpocket was caught. Michael and Alara stepped back from each other, a flush creeping up Michael's neck. Let's keep going, Michael stammered, leading the way to a quieter part of the market. As they walked, the awkwardness slowly faded, replaced by a comfortable silence. They finished their shopping and decided to sit down at a small cafe at the edge of the market. Michael, about earlier, Alara began, fiddling with her cup. I felt something. Did you? Michael met her gaze, his heart thumping loudly in his chest. Yes, I did, he admitted. I've been trying to keep things professional, to make sure you and Leary feel safe and not obligated. Alara offered. Yes, exactly, Michael nodded. Alara smiled softly. Michael, I don't feel obligated. I feel happy, happier than I've been in a long time. You've done so much for us. Michael took a deep breath, his decision solidifying. I'm happy too, Alara, and I'd like to see where this could go, if you're willing. I would like that, Alara said, her smile widening. Their conversation then turned to plans for the future, discussing potential jobs for Alara at the spaceport and activities for Leary at the community center. They talked about the little things, their favorite foods, movies, and books, discovering more about each other as the cafe's lights dimmed around them. By the time they left the market, the sun had begun to set, casting long shadows on the ground. They walked home slowly, enjoying the cool evening air. I feel like today was a turning point, Michael said as they neared his apartment. It was, Alara agreed. Thank you for being there, Michael. For everything. As they reached the door, Michael turned to her. Alara, whatever happens next, I want you to know that you and Leary are no longer just guests here. You're part of this home. Alara reached out, taking his hand in hers, her eyes shining with unshed tears. We feel the same, Michael. They stepped inside, the warmth of the apartment embracing them like an old friend, their hearts lighter than they had been in a long time. As the weeks passed, Alara and Leary began to settle into their new life with Michael, but integrating into the local community proved to be more challenging than expected. One sunny afternoon, Michael suggested they attend a community event designed to promote interspecies understanding and cooperation. It'll be a good opportunity for you both to meet more people and maybe make some friends, Michael explained as they walked towards the community center, the hum of excited chatter growing louder as they approached. Alara nodded, holding Leary's hand tightly. I hope they're welcoming. It hasn't been easy everywhere we've gone. They will be. This community is all about diversity and learning from each other. You'll see, Michael reassured her, squeezing her shoulder gently. As they entered the center, a volunteer greeted them warmly. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. There are some activities for kids over there. She pointed to a corner where children were gathered around tables filled with arts and crafts materials, and we have some seminars and discussions going on in those rooms. Feel free to join in. Leary tugged on Alara's hand, eager to join the other children. Alara looked at Michael, who nodded encouragingly. Go ahead, I'll be right here. With a hesitant smile, Alara watched Leary run off to the craft tables. She then turned to Michael. What about us? Should we try one of the seminars? Let's do it, Michael said, leading the way to a room labeled Interspecies Communication and Collaboration. They entered the room to find it half full, with various species seated in small groups. An older human man at the front, who seemed to be leading the discussion, noticed them and smiled. Ah, newcomers. Please, join us. We're just discussing the challenges and benefits of interspecies teamwork. Michael and Alara found seats, and the man continued. Would anyone like to share their experiences? Perhaps our new friends? Feeling a nudge from Michael, Alara stood. Hello, I'm Alara. I'm from Juneterra. My son and I are quite new to your community. Our experiences have been mixed. While some have been welcoming, others have been less so. It's been a challenge to find acceptance. A murmur of empathy spread through the room. A Zeltronian woman across the circle spoke up. It's brave of you to share, Alara. I faced similar struggles when I first arrived. It's not easy, but gatherings like this can really open doors and minds. The discussion deepened, with others sharing their stories and suggestions for fostering better understanding. Michael watched as Alara engaged with the group, her initial nervousness giving way to a more confident demeanor. After the seminar, they mingled with other attendees. Michael struck up a conversation with a Tarnif, a species known for their engineering prowess. I'm an engineer at the spaceport, Michael shared, and I'm always looking to learn about new technologies. Perhaps we could collaborate sometime? The Tarnif, named Garvin, was enthusiastic. Absolutely. I've been working on a new propulsion system. Maybe you could look at it, give some human perspective? Sounds like a plan, Michael agreed, exchanging contact details. As the event wound down, Alara and Michael collected Leary, who was proudly showing off a colorful mask he had made. Look, Michael, I made a Terran tiger. It's fantastic, Leary, Michael exclaimed, then turned to Alara with a smile. I think we made some progress today, don't you think? Yes, it feels like we took a step forward, Alara agreed, her voice tinged with relief. On their way home, Michael reflected on the day. You know, Alara, this community is ours just as much as anyone else's, and I'm glad we're navigating it together. Alara nodded, her hand finding Michael's as they walked. Me too, Michael. Together, it seems less daunting. Their shared laughter echoed softly in the fading light, a sound full of promise and new beginnings. One evening, after Leary had gone to bed and the apartment had settled into a quiet calm, Michael and Alara sat side by side on the couch, each lost in their thoughts. The air was thick with unspoken words, and outside, the city's lights twinkled like distant stars. Michael turned to Alara, noticing the thoughtful expression on her face. What's on your mind? He asked softly. Alara hesitated, her fingers absently tracing the pattern on the couch cushion. I've been thinking about us, about everything we've been through together, she started, her voice low. And about what happens next. Michael nodded, sensing the gravity of the conversation. I've been thinking about that too. It feels like we're at a crossroads of sorts. Yes, exactly, Alara agreed, meeting his gaze. You've been so kind to us, Michael. More than I ever expected when we first met. And somewhere along the way, this, she gestured around, became home, not just a place to stay. Michael felt a warmth spread through him. For me too. You and Leary, you've become my family. The word hung in the air between them, charged with emotion. Alara's eyes softened. Family, she echoed, a smile tugging at the corners of her lips. I like that. There was a pause, a comfortable silence, before Michael continued. Alara, I don't want this to just be about needing a safe place or feeling obligated. If we're going to be a family, I want it to be because we both choose it, because of, he trailed off, searching for the right words, because of feelings. Alara reached out, her hand covering his. I do feel something, Michael. More than gratitude. I feel connected to you. Not because I have to be, but because I want to be. Hearing her words, Michael felt a surge of happiness. I feel the same way, he confessed. I've been trying to keep things simple, to not complicate your situation further. But ignoring how I feel hasn't made things simpler. Alara squeezed his hand. Maybe it's not about keeping things simple. Maybe it's about making them right. For us, for Leary. Michael leaned closer, his face inches from hers. Is this okay? He asked, his voice a whisper. Yes, she whispered back. And then, tentatively at first, they kissed. The kiss deepened, driven by the months of growing affection and suppressed emotions. It was a kiss that spoke of understanding, of new beginnings, of mutual desire. When they finally pulled apart, they were both breathless. I've wanted to do that for a while, Michael admitted, his forehead resting against hers. So have I, Alara replied, her voice filled with laughter and tears. They spent the rest of the evening talking openly about their feelings, about what each of them wanted from life, and how they might blend their hopes and dreams together. They discussed practical matters too, work, Leary's schooling, and even the possibility of finding a bigger place to live one day. As the night grew deeper, they moved to the window, watching the city below. Alara rested her head on Michael's shoulder, and he wrapped an arm around her. We have a lot to figure out, Michael said, his voice filled with a hopeful tone. We do, Alara agreed, but we'll figure it out together. Together, they stood in silent agreement, the cityscape a canvas of possibilities stretching out before them. The following weeks brought a palpable shift in Michael and Alara's relationship. It was as if the entire universe had acknowledged their decision to be together, and life seemed to flow more smoothly. Their newfound commitment was to be celebrated at the annual Unity Festival, a local tradition meant to honor the diverse cultures within the community. Are you excited for the festival? Michael asked one morning while they were having breakfast. The apartment was lively with the scent of coffee and the chatter of an energetic Leary, who was more excited about the festival treats than anything else. Alara smiled, pouring herself a cup of coffee. I am. It feels like it's the perfect place to start showing that we are together, really together in front of everyone. It's a big deal, Michael agreed, sipping his coffee. Speaking of big deals, I've been thinking about something. How would you feel about making our partnership official? Legally, I mean. Alara's eyes widened slightly, the significance of his words sinking in. You mean, like a marriage? In a way, yes. I know it might be different from how things are done on Juntera, but here, it would protect us, give us rights as a family. For Leary, too. Alara nodded thoughtfully. I would like that, Michael. To be officially a family. With their plan in place, they headed to the festival later that day, hand in hand, a united front. The festival grounds were a burst of color and sound, with banners flying high and music filling the air from every direction. Stalls lined the pathways, each representing different planetary cultures with foods, crafts, and games. Leary pulled them toward a game booth, eager to try his luck at a ring toss. Michael laughed, watching him with a mixture of pride and amusement. "Look at him go," Alara said, leaning into Michael. "He's so happy." "He's not the only one," Michael responded, kissing her forehead gently. As they wandered through the festival, they bumped into Gus, Michael's colleague from the spaceport. "Michael, Alara, and the young champ here," Gus greeted them warmly. "Glad to see you all enjoying the festivities. What's the occasion?" Michael exchanged a look with Alara, who nodded slightly. "We're celebrating our family, officially," Michael announced. "We're making it legal soon." "Congratulations," Gus exclaimed, clapping Michael on the back. "That's fantastic news. You have my full support, and if there's anything you need, you just let me know." "Thank you, Gus. That means a lot to us," Michael said, grateful for his friend's support. They continued to enjoy various aspects of the festival, engaging in cultural dances and sampling exotic dishes. The sense of community was overwhelming, and many locals, once merely acquaintances, now came forward to offer their congratulations and support. As the evening settled in, the festival's climax approached, a grand display of fireworks set to light up the night sky. Michael, Alara, and Leary found a spot on the grass, the crowd around them buzzing with anticipation. "This is it," Alara whispered to Michael as the first firework soared into the sky, exploding in a shower of colors. "It feels like a new beginning." "It is," Michael whispered back, pulling her closer. "Together, we're unstoppable." The fireworks continued, each burst more spectacular than the last, lighting up their faces with awe and excitement. Leary, nestled between them, clapped his hands in delight, completely caught up in the magic of the moment. As the final firework faded, leaving a sparkling trail in the night sky, Michael felt a profound sense of contentment. They had faced challenges, but now they were surrounded by a community that accepted and celebrated them. The festival ended on a high note, with friends and strangers alike coming together, reminding everyone of the beauty of diversity and the strength found in unity. As they walked home, the streets quiet except for the distant sounds of the festival winding down. Michael, Alara, and Leary walked not just as a unit, but as a testament to what love and acceptance could build. The weeks following the Unity Festival were filled with plans and preparations. Michael, Alara, and Leary were moving to a new home on the outskirts of the community, a place with more space and green areas for Leary to play and explore. It was a crisp morning, and their new house was bustling with activity as they unpacked and set up their new life together. "Dad, where do my books go?" Leary called out, using the title he had recently adopted for Michael, who was busy assembling a shelf. "Let's put them in your room, champ." "I'll show you," Michael said, wiping his brow and leading Leary to his new, larger bedroom. Alara was in the kitchen, organizing their dishes and food supplies. As Michael passed by, he smiled at her. "It feels good, doesn't it? Being here, making a home together." "It does," Alara agreed, placing the last plate on the shelf. "I never imagined this, Michael. From the moment we met, I never thought we'd have a home like this." "I guess life surprises us sometimes," Michael chuckled, grabbing a box labeled Miscellaneous. "Especially when we least expect it." As the day wore on, friends from the community stopped by to help and offer their well wishes. Gus came by with a housewarming gift, a set of handcrafted tools, perfect for the minor fixes around the house. "Michael, you've got a great place here," Gus commented as he handed over the gift. "And I must say, you three look right at home." "Thanks, Gus. We're planning to stay a while," Michael replied, clapping his friend on the back. Later, as the sun began to set, the house started to take shape. Furniture was in place, boxes were mostly unpacked, and a sense of warmth permeated the air. Michael and Alara stood on their new porch, watching Leary play in the yard. "Alara, this is just the beginning, you know?" Michael said, his arm around her shoulders. "Yes, a beginning, but also a continuation," Alara responded, resting her head against him. "Of our journey, our family. I feel like everything we've been through is leading us to this moment." "I know what you mean," Michael nodded. "Tomorrow, I'll go back to work, and you'll start your new job at the community center. It's going to be a new routine for us all." Alara looked up at him, a soft smile playing on her lips. We'll manage. We always do. And now, we do it together, truly together. They called Leary back inside as the night grew darker, the house filling with laughter and the noise of a family truly coming together. Dinner was a simple affair, their first meal in their new home. As they sat down to eat, Leary looked around and sighed contentedly. I like it here. It feels like home. It is home, Michael confirmed, reaching across the table to squeeze Alara's hand. And it's just the start. We have plans to make, dreams to chase, and challenges to face, Alara added. But together. Yes, together, Michael echoed, his voice firm with resolve and love. The meal ended with plans for the future being discussed. The community projects they wanted to start, the places they wanted to visit, and the quiet evenings they hoped to spend just like this, together as a family. Later, as Leary drifted off to sleep in his new room and Alara read by the soft light of the lamp, Michael stepped outside once more. He looked at the stars, thinking about the vastness of the universe and the small, significant space they occupied within it. They had found their place, their peace, and their purpose, together as a family. The night whispered promises, and Michael felt ready to meet whatever came next, knowing they would face it as a family, stronger and united.